We move on to the next type of access network, which is optical interconnect. Now, when we say interconnect, you could have the interconnects between two devices. It could be interconnect between data centers. It could be interconnect between two chips of the same device. I'm talking about the semiconductor chips, memory, it could be processing unit of the same device, or it could be intra-chip interconnect. So what is this interconnect? Optical interconnects refer to those connections which is very short distance. You're not talking about meters, you're not talking about kilometers, you're talking about meters of distance or even centimeters of distance. What is special about this? The data rate is really high. You're talking about several gigabits of data rate. You want to do it in a cost efficient manner, and you want to do it as large number of parallel channels. So you imagine that you want to connect the different servers of, so this is the server 1, this is server 2, this is server 3 of the data centers. They are all physically located very close to each other. They may be in the same rack, but you want to make a connectivity between them. And these servers are running at very high speed, and so you cannot imagine using copper cables there because of the loss in the copper cable. Even when the distance is small, when the data rate is high, the bandwidth used is high, the attenuation is very high, the dispersion is very high in copper cable for high bandwidth, and so you can use fiber cables. So for these for these applications, the typical laser sources that are used are VCSELs. VCSELs are vertical cavity surface emitting laser diodes. So the advantage of this VCSEL is that in a given chip you can fabricate several VCSELs because they are emitting from the surface, not from the edge, right? If it is emitting from the edge, dicing, polishing each edge becomes a little more laborious process. But this is like VCSELs are devices where the fabrication is done such a way that the active medium, the emitting medium is actually on the surface, so they can dice once it is made, and large numbers are possible. These are also made possible because of the high density silicon photonic circuits. Now, what are these silicon photonic circuits? These are optical waveguides that are made in the traditional silicon fabrication foundries, so that you don't really need to use a completely different material. You can use a material that is compatible with your semiconductor industry, and you can make optical waveguides in the sense that you can make light pass through these waveguides. You get the benefit of high bandwidth because your information is modulated in light. So these are the two technologies which have enabled this, especially this intra-chip and inter-chip interconnects. Okay. One classic example of interconnect is what is called as an active optical cable. This is available commercially. I have picked it up from fs.com, which is a commercial fiber optic online platform, right? So this is the picture of one specific active cable module here. The cable length, as you see, is 10 meter. It has electrical connection in, electrical connection out. So you can plug this between two, for instance, computers, and establish the connectivity between these two computers at very high speed through this optical cable, right? The small package here inside consists of all the transmitter, receiver, and all the signal processing that is required to handle this large amount of data. Why signal processing? Because I'm saying that this is QSFP28 to QSFP28. The data rates it can handle is 100 Gbps, which means that we are talking about 25 Gbps, 4 lanes of 25 Gbps. Remember, I showed you how a 100 Gbps interconnect looks like. It could multiplex several 2.5 Gbps and get to 425 Gbps, and from that it goes into an IQ modulator, polarization multiplex transmission. It has a receiver, and because the information is in phase, you would need to do phase noise correction, frequency offset compensation. This is a short link, so there is probably not much of dispersion compensation required, but all this signal processing functionalities are required to recover your phase, and the whole thing is getting packaged in these kind of small modules. The bend radius is 7.5 mm because when you bend it further, what happens is there is mode starts leaking out into the cladding, there is a bending loss, and you cannot maintain the link budget. Okay, so these are active cables. People can just buy it, plug and play this, but inside this active cable has the transmitter, receiver, etc. that what we had learned before. And this kind of active cables are used in storage networks, for data, high-speed data transfer. It is used for connecting the different modules of a high-performance computer. This is an example from IBM research on intra-chip connectivity. So you have a processor layer. This is a semiconductor processor layer. This is the memory layer, and you have a photonic network layer which could connect between the memory and the processor. So for instance, you can take a connection from here, take it through the this lane. And what is this lane? This is like a fiber connection, but this is made in silicon photonics, so it's an optical waveguide connection. These are your different nodes. You remember, like in a long haul network, you had an add drop multiplexer node. So these could be your add drop multiplexer nodes, and it can basically route your signal through on the chip, and then it can feed into the processor layer, or it can service off chip traffic. Right. So this is like a vision diagram, and several companies who are fabricating electronic chips are trying to, or computing chips are trying to use optical interconnects, which will improve the speed and reliability of intra-chip communication and inter-chip communication. When you say data center networks, when I talked about tree topology, I told you that there is a fat tree 3-layer topology, which is getting very popularly used in data center networks, which basically whenever we are accessing cloud, we are getting connected to one of the data centers, and connectivity within the servers of the data center and between data centers is also becoming important. So this is an example of a fat tree data center. In fact, the whole distance here could be less than 20 meters, but the data rates are really large. So you could still have this tree architecture, and you have this 1 gig Ethernet link between the different computers here. You have an aggregator layer, which is like an access layer, and then it goes into 1 gig Ethernet, and then you have the next level of hierarchy which aggregates all these information into this aggregation layer, and it moves on to the core layer. So this is highly bursty data because you may be accessing the servers at random. There are independent standardization that is being created for data centers because the number of such data centers are increasing really heavily.